Hey folks, Kiltman here, Kiltman at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, got a wee update on the Christopher Young Nosferatu Project Kickstarter campaign, which I was proud to be part of the launch of. Now, we've only got less than 2 weeks to go. 2 weeks. The Kickstarter campaign ends on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you! Yeah, 2024. And we are quite a bit over the 50% mark now. Getting all the funds necessary to get a fabulous new re-recording of the awesome score that Chris Young came up with for 1922's vampire masterpiece Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, starring Max Schreck as Count Graf Orlok and directed by Frederick Wilhelm Murnau, an absolute pinnacle of cinema, right at the dawn of cinema, and it shaped how the genre became for decades and decades, in fact 100 years, because Chris Young was approached by, I always get this bit wrong, by Europäische Philharmonie to compose a score for this silent movie. So it could be played, the movie could be presented theatrically over 2 nights with a live orchestra and a whole brand new score created by Chris Young specifically for this classic movie, which he did. And it played over 2 nights, and the film is a masterpiece, much loved and revered, but his score was unique, extraordinary, visceral, sensual, brooding, dramatic, haunting, everything you want from a vampire classic movie score, and it brought the house down. So, everyone says, well, can we have a release of this score, please, if you don't mind, Mr. Young? Well, it wasn't quite as easy as that. Even though Chris Young has composed since, well, the early 80s, The Dawn That Dripped Blood, the Hellraiser movies, Drag Me to Hell, Dark Half, Flowers in the Attic, Invaders from Mars, The Core, Monkey King, so many, absolutely far more scores than you can shake a stick at, and they're all fantastic. Well, even though he has that amount of clout, Warner Classics said, well, yeah, we'll distribute it, but a lot of other costs are there. License fees, re-recording fees, and finalising the liner notes and the cover art, and because it's going to be a 2 CD physical release. Yes! 2 CDs of glory! Grand Guignol Gothic glory. But yeah, so he needs the funds to do it, hence the Kickstarter. Yeah, you think, I'm a world-leading composer, I shouldn't have to do this. But that's the way the world goes at the moment. Nothing's a dead set. So, at the moment we are quite a bit over the 50% mark, but there's still time to pledge before May the 4th. And of course, if you do, the rewards are amazing. There's different tiers, and they're all named after characters in Nosferatu as well. So you get different rewards for each bit. You can put in as little as $30 or something like that, and then, or you can build up and up and up. It's well worth it. Now, the team have released various tracks and suites and excerpts from the full score onto YouTube. You're hearing some of it right now. The film itself is in 5 acts. They've done 1, 2, 3 acts, little excerpts from, and a suite and trailer music. As I say, that's playing right now on this crusty old machine of mine, which we'll talk more about in a minute, because it's, yes, something else happened which would have been spectacular, but sadly hasn't happened. I'll explain, don't worry. But, so it's all to play for right now. We want this release. The music is fabulous. Now, as I say, they've only released certain tracks, but I've been honoured and privileged enough to have heard the full score. So what you're hearing is extraordinarily vivid and rousing and brilliantly, it's a rush, a tsunami of the senses. I've heard it all. And what you hear in these excerpts on YouTube, that's nothing compared to the full score. Oh my God. Talk about teasers. This gives you a flavour of what you're in for. but the full thing, which is 93 minutes long, because the movie's 93 minutes long, and Chris had to compose all 93 minutes of music, which you don't normally do for a modern day movie, a talkie, because you've got sound effects and you've got conversations and dialogue and pregnant pauses throughout the conversation, so there's no need for music. But a silent movie, you've got to give it your all. And trust me on this, you've heard nothing yet. Anyway, just realised. Cheers, you all. Cheers, Chris. Cheers, all the team. Another wonderful bit of opportunity came my way. His production team for this approached me and said, would you like to interview Chris Young? Would I like to interview Chris Young? Does a fat dog fart? Does a bear do you know what in the woods? Does Kiltman love to drink whiskey? Well, he does, ordinarily. But the reason why I'm drinking that thing there is because there's no whiskey left in the house. There's no whiskey in the hizzy. So I'm drinking something called Asahi Super Dry. I can tell you, they've lied a couple of times on this can because it ain't dry. It's definitely wet. But it's got all like Japanese sort of writing on it. But a little glance down the side of the can, and it's actually brewed in Italy. Go figure. Cheers, y'all. But yeah, he said, would you like to interview Chris? He's been a hero of mine since the 80s. I used to review movies for local press and radio before I moved on to, reviewing things on AV forums and DVD Times and DVD Review and this platform here. And all throughout my life. And I've always talked about film music when I'm reviewing a movie. About an element purely to do with the movie score itself. And right from the word go, for me, it was Hellraiser and Hellbound, The Dark Half, and that's how I discovered Chris Young's scores. And for radio, I would make a huge element of that review focused on the score. And then every written piece I'd do, there'd be paragraphs about that. I even reviewed some of his scores just with big essays just about the scores with track by track breakdowns. So yeah, he's one of my heroes. So to be given that opportunity, it was just, oh, come on. I'm gonna say no to that. So the time was set, the date was set, and it would have been 6 o'clock UK time, 6 o'clock evening UK time. He was in LA. And it'd be morning time there. So it was all set, looking forward to it. Oh, I got a little proviso, try to keep it mainly about the Kickstarter. But you know me, and they said to me, because Chris, once he starts talking, he doesn't stop. Well, that'd be perfect, wouldn't it? The two Chris's, albeit one in a kilt. That'd be this one here. Talking about his music for these movies and about Nosferatu. It would have been great. It would have been fantastic. I was so looking forward to it. Oh, I'll try to keep it nice and focused and all that, but if we go off on a tangent, who's going to stop us? And it would have been fun, except technical difficulties ensued and the interview didn't happen. And sadly, most of the technical difficulties lie with yours truly and the aforementioned antiquated farce of a system that I have here. Not only would Zoom refuse to record, because it was meant to be a video. We were going to do this for the channel. I mean, that was great of them, so generous to do that. But this wasn't playing ball. So after lots of hand wringing and sweaty brow time, I had to message them and say, look, this ain't gonna happen. It just isn't gonna happen. And we'd already had a few sort of back and forths as to how we could get around it, but it wasn't to be. Now, that is not to say that this won't happen at some point, but it's not gonna happen right now. And sadly, it was right in time for right in the middle of the Kickstarter campaign, you'd hear him talking to me and we'd be promoting Nosferatu. But now, it's just me promoting Nosferatu on Chris's behalf. Damn it! It would have been so good, wouldn't it? You know, we could talk about Drag Me to Hell and the fiddle playing, the diabolical, cursed fiddle playing of Drag Me to Hell. The almost operatic, quasi-gothic, dark, ecclesiastical nature of the Hellraiser scores. The waltzing, the rhapsodies, his penchant for turning the supremely sinister into sublimely sensual. And that is his gift. He turns the most darkest and diabolical of scenarios into a thing of genuine transcendence and beauty. Listen to this for Max Schreck and Nosferatu. It's exciting, it's passionate, it's fast-paced. The full score has lots of other elements, much more somber, darker, quieter moments of introspection and fear and tension slowly rising. Other motifs come in and jostle for attention. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. So, you know, although there was a slight setback yesterday, that's life. Throughout the course of my life, there's been many golden opportunities which I've leapt at, and some have been great, and some have just completely foundered and crashed and burned. But that is the nature of things. But I'll be honest about it. I'm gutted. I wish it happened. I mean, it would. God, can you imagine? He's a great raconteur. He's witty. He's urbane. He's sophisticated. But he has a laugh and he knows the genre inside out. Hang on a minute. I just described myself. So imagine the two of us, and the crack would have been great, wouldn't it? You know? But there you go. But folks, get in on this while you still can and make this happen. Don't just take Chris's word for it or my word for it or the production team's word for it. The score is magnificent. 2 packed nights. And it literally everyone was in rapture over it. It's won a special award from and I always get this wrong as well, the International Film Music Critics Association gave him a special award. He won every other award going for his score for The Piper, but they gave him a special award for Nosferatu. And the score is ravishing, it's pulsating, it's dynamic. You know, the amount of, you know, adjectives and superlatives I can hurl at this is nothing to actually experiencing it. So they need to re-record, because you have got bits of audience sounds and other noises are in there. So it's got to be re-recorded, and that's where the expenses come in. He isn't just demanding money. Oh, pay me now, otherwise I won't release it. No, he wants to release it, but he hasn't got the dosh himself, you know. Who has? Anyway, this actually says Karakuchi in quotation marks across the top of the can. What does that mean? Does it mean cheers? I don't know. Is it actually Japanese? I'm assuming it's Japanese. Sounds it, doesn't it? Karakuchi, you know. Karakuchi. It's not bad. It ain't whiskey, but it's not bad. In fact, it's quite Moorish. And luckily, there's another 6 of these. Okay. So you're hearing, this is an excerpt from Act 1. I'm not going to sit and play all this. I've already played a lot of this a couple of times already, so you've heard it. And these excerpts and suites are on YouTube. And there's a nice interview with Chris Young about this, and with his conductor Frank Strobel as well, talking about the whole project for getting the centenary presentation of Nosferatu with his new score and the orchestra there. What an event that would be. What an event. And Chris was there as well. He did participate in the whole running of it. But it is wonderful. And as I say, I'm lucky enough, privileged enough to have heard the full score. And it goes way beyond the excitement and exhilaration that you're hearing now, and all the creativity. It is scary. It does have real tension. There's a bit of twisted romanticism there as well. You've got that sensual brooding quality which he's so damn good at providing. And acres of atmosphere. There's the organ. You see, he thought of concepts for this. Like, I love the organ, I love the orchestra, but the organ's part of the orchestra. I'm going to write this, or at least parts of it, for organ and orchestra. So the organ is first and foremost, and the orchestra wraps and enmeshes itself around and throughout the sound of the organ. And it is exquisite. So you've got this trepidation, pensiveness, which I'm talking all the way over. Turn a little bit. But yeah, I even bought myself a brand new webcam. But scant good it did me. So as I say, you know, in life, whatever comes your way, you've got to, I don't know if it's should, I don't know. Do it. You've got nothing to lose. Do it. Now, I didn't just put the kibosh on this whole thing. So, damn, machine isn't working. It's not doing what I want it to do. We looked at different avenues and it still wouldn't do it. So it's not like I've gone, I'm in a big sulk, big strop. Not like that at all. I've got every hope that I still will get to speak to the great man himself. And I'm sure he's thinking the same thing. But it's just unfortunate because that would have been such a great video, wouldn't it? And in the background, you'd probably have heard the production team go, come on now, wind it up, wind it up. He's a busy boy, you know, Chris. Not me, the other one. I'm not busy at all. Oh dear. It is what it is. As I always say, it's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with what happens to you. And I could have gone into a big, massive stomp around the mansion, kicking things all over the show, hailing abuse from the battlements to any of the peasantry out there, perhaps even getting my longbow and taking a few of them out. Serve you right! Get back in the fields, dig some potatoes, and I'm on that arrow back. Oh God. Nice and silvery, isn't it? Oh, got a bit of a... To coincide with the lens flare up there, we've got another one going on. Yeah. Almost enough to make Nosferatu himself go and fade away. So let's make this happen. The rewards are really, really good. They are. It's not like I'm doing the big PR thing, aren't I? I suppose I am, but they're worth it. You get your name line, the booklet, you get the CD, you get posters, you get, well, depending on what you do, what you pledge, you get all sorts. You get the actual music sheets as well. You get posters signed by everybody. And there's more than that. Come on now. This is an extraordinary experiment. A vastly, vital project. These classic movies, I've discussed the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Karl Bartos from Kraftwerk, who did an extraordinary score for that movie only recently. Well, he did it last year, but it only came out recently. So that got a release. That's there. We need this to get out there as well. Because as I say, you've heard nothing yet. Nothing. It's an incredible, almost exhausting experience, but a great one at the same time. And it does weave you through that dark, wicked tapestry of Nosferatu. The atmospherics, the doom, the tragedy, the death, the plague. It's all there. So listen to this. So we do enter like little quieter interludes. Great string work. And you know, if you're a big fan of Christopher Young, which of course you are, you will recognise some of the traits, some of the motifs and the stylistics that he's used throughout his entire career. And then you get this. It's a good march as well, isn't it? Well, folks, if you haven't done so already, please get on board. I'll put the link below to the Kickstarter campaign. But at least it's still going on. These things tend to start off with a flourish, a big aplomb. Everyone speeds in there and it starts racking up. And then you get a period in the middle, like a lull, where it just trickles along, gradually building. And then you get a big rush at the end. May the 4th is the end, so may the 4th be with you. And this score, it's strong with the Force, but mainly the dark side. And you wouldn't have it any other way now, would you? So I'm trying to fit it. Whiskey, I'd have necked it by now. Cans are a different kettle of fish. It is good. I'll be doing another video, probably about Drag Me to Hell. I'll probably review the movie as well, but I'll be exploring what Chris Young did with the music for Drag Me to Hell, which I find really criminally undervalued and unappreciated. I'm sure all the score lovers love it, but no one ever talks about that score. And in fact, no one ever talks about the movie. Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell is fabulous. It is a modern day reworking of Casting the Runes by M.R. James and of course Turner's Night of the Demon. One of the greatest 1950s horror movies. In fact, one of the greatest horror movies ever made, full stop. And what Chris brought to that was this sort of gypsy, Romany, Eastern European fiddle playing, as well as lots of Grand Guignol, pure, adrenalized action and frightening barrages of sound, orchestral assaults, but lots of really creepy downtime where spectral tendrils of dark shadow are creeping up on our protagonist and heroine as she's get cursed for 3 days of increasingly nightmarish apparitions before she'll be dragged to hell. But we'll have a look at that, but we're going to explore what Chris Young came up with for Sam Raimi. And he definitely matched the hyperkinetic camera work that Raimi had, spiraling out of control, as only Sam Raimi can do. And the heightened effects, it's humorous, but it's horrific at the same time. And it's genuinely, it's nightmare fuel. But Chris is what inspired most of that. He gives the drive, the thrust, and the suspense to that movie. Come on now. And there's still some more left. Get you gone. That's enough of that now. Right, folks, I have been Always Tabby Kiltman. Please, in the meantime, and this ever musical, maniacal, macabre in between time, please keep it Celtic, and get on to this Kickstarter campaign. Let's get Nosferatu on its double disc physical release. We need it. I tell you, we do. I'm going to see you all later. Speaking of curses, bloody curse with this antiquated machinery here. I know, Kiltman, just get yourself a new computer. I know, but things get in the way and, lots of stuff. There's been tons of birthdays around the mansion lately. Lots of things happening. I will get this sorted. And if I've got to go out to LA to interview Chris Young, then so be it. That might be the only way of doing it. Imagine that. Right, folks. Be careful out there. Watch out for guys with bushy eyebrows and big pointy ears and little rodent teeth. Watch out for them. Because they're the right pain in the